carried. Thank you very much. And sorry once again for keeping you here so long. Okay, so number 10. Now, I'm sure Councillor Templeton is happy to move this. Oh, yeah, and yeah, Aaron's just had to go to a funeral. See you, mate. Thank you. Yep. Yeah. And I'm happy to second it. Councillor Templeton and staff have worked together. Well, Councillor Templeton put it up, and staff have worked with her to change the submission slightly. Is that right, Dave?
So we've developed a council submission, a supplementary council submission, that was based off the staff submission that was submitted on the 13th of June, which was Thursday of last week. While we were developing the staff submission, we requested an extension of time, but we only received notification that we got that extension on the 14th of June. So the staff submission went on the 13th of June because we're at the end of the time period. 14th of June, we got the extension through to tomorrow. We've worked with Councillor Templeton to develop a council submission, which is before you.
Okay. Councillor Scandra, then Councillor Johansson.
You know, I just want to thank Councillor Templeton for the work she did on this. It's your commitment. It was really good. So thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay. Sorry, I'm getting a few. Councillor Johansson.
Yeah, so I just wanted to check if we wanted to put some additional comments in the submission. What's the best process to do that? I'd like to make reference to the issue of chlorination. So just wanted to flag amendments in that regard.
So the chlorination matter is not within the scope of what this bill's about or what the Finance Committee is considering. So I think we suggested back to you that you could just put a noting recognising it's outside the scope of the committee, but we'd like to just raise our ongoing concerns about things. But that's it. We can't advocate for anything because it's irrelevant. It's outside the scope of what this consultation's about.
But the cost to us is like 100 million, so it's very relevant to the cost of water services.
It's not something that this committee would consider.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
but there's no harm in adding it.
The noting provision. But
so
no,
I'll move. Can I move that
be in the
we
submission.
add a noting provision, raising the concern at the issue of the cost of chlorination and the exemption and the difficulty in getting an exemption?
So we would probably have to note something that we recognise this is outside the scope of this
that's
committee.
fine.
So the one that we
that's
sent
correct.
through to you as a suggestion is probably the only one that would meet the requirements. So
And I think just to add one or two words to that, at the difficulty and cost in obtaining an exemption. So I think it does make it relevant to the discussion that they're having, even though it may be out of scope. So this is the one that staff have sent through. Do you want me to send that around the councillors?
No, we'll just put it up on screen.
Okay.
All right. So
Where it says a concern at the difficulty, just add the words and cost.
No, just
okay. So we're not just noting that in there, are we? All right.
Yeah.
So any other question? Any debate? I think it's all pretty. Debate. Councillor Templeton.
Thanks. So I'd like to thank staff for the time and effort put into putting together initially the staff submission and asking us for our feedback at that time, and then actually collating the feedback to do a submission that had elected member feedback. So thank you for that. I know it's been a lot of extra pressure on staff at the time, especially with a really, really short time frame. And I know that most councils actually haven't had the opportunity to do that. One of the things that concerns me most about this particular bill is that there are no protections against privatisation. The bill talks about entities being competitive. It talks about them making profits, but no water servants agency should be making a profit off the residents of our city or any other city. Every cent should go into the safe provision of water and removal of wastewater. Any entity should be not for profit, not profit making. We know that when entities are profit driven, they cut corners. It also opens it up for privatisation. It also only talks about financial sustainability. It doesn't talk about environmental or cultural sustainability, things our communities value. And there is a need for taumata arawai to take into account te mana o te wai in the setting of wastewater standards. This is another in the long list of government proposals that are being done to local government and our residents that we have limited to no say in. Our stretch staff will not be able to comment fully on every one, even though they will impact the work that we do and add additional costs in many ways. Just now, we have the Water Services Bill. We have the Water Management Freshwater Amendment Bill that's due on the 30th of June, which I don't know about you guys, but I haven't had a chance to give my feedback on that one yet, but I will. The speed limit sitting rule feedback is due on the 11th of July, and I'm expecting that we'll do a council submission on that one, and that elected members should be asked for feedback. There's the new granny flat rules. We've had no time to engage. I know our feedback is due on the discussion document on that soon. And who knows what will pop up tomorrow. We are racing around, chasing our tails, trying to give feedback on things that will fundamentally impact the way that we are able to serve our communities. And the speed of change is going to do a huge disservice to everyone. Thank you, staff, for their time. Please keep us informed about the other changes that we need to make submissions on. And I encourage everyone to read the various acts and to give the bills and give their feedback.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Johansson.
Thank you. I think for me, I'm really concerned about what's being proposed. It seems to me this is just another layer of red tape and bureaucracy to local government decision making, but requiring us to essentially duplicate our infrastructure strategy, our water safety plan through a new separate process alongside the LTP. And it basically means more money, more time, more resources spent on repeating the current work rather than being able to be spent directly on investing in our water infrastructure. I think what's really obvious is that, one of the hugest challenges we have as a city is the issue of forced chlorination on our water supply. The cost is about $100 million. That's money that would be far better being spent on addressing some of the water infrastructure needs that we have rather than adding a residual disinfectant. So I think we should absolutely take the opportunity, even if it's technically outside the scope of the submission, to make the point really clearly to central government that if you want us to be more efficient and get better value for money, there are things that you can do that would be incredibly helpful and useful. The other thing that I think is really interesting is to look at the role of central government around water services provision. And if we look at the Auditor General's office, it's not lost on me that not too long ago, actually, there was a big issue up in the Kaipara District Council around the Mangawai Community Wastewater Scheme. And effectively, the Auditor General fell short of monitoring. So if we want some robust systems in place to ensure that councils are doing what's important to do around the issue of the three waters, actually one of the models that already exists under the current arrangements is for the Auditor General's office to actually have a much more robust analysis of things like LTPs, annual plans of expenditure. And so I just think this is hugely concerning, that it's basically going to effectively create a whole bunch of duplication, and it fails to address the issue of the problem, which is we need central government to be putting more funding into the three waters rather than requiring councils to do more with an unsustainable rates impact that we're having in our local communities. And until they effectively address that, then I think we're always going to struggle as a country. But recognising that as a city, we've had a massive amount of work that we've done, despite the fact that we've had some of the toughest economic times that we've had because of the earthquake and COVID. So I, support the staff work on the submission. I think the concerns are very valid. And I particularly also want to acknowledge the concerns that's been raised around privatisation. I think that is very real, and we should be incredibly concerned about that going forward.
Thank you very much. Yep.
I just want to thank Councillor Templeton again. It's really important what she's brought forward. One of the things that kind of struck me was the term excessive profits. And, that for me sparks a really big alarm from central government if that's not kind of protected in any way, shape or form. There should be, and I totally agree with Councillor Templeton, there shouldn't be any profits here. It should be about upgrading the service that is provided to the people of the region or wherever this is. And we can look at other regions such as Wellington and others who are having real problems compared to us. One thing that's always kind of surprised me, and it was with the Three Waters, Te Mara Arawai, I don't think has ever really understood the difference between Christchurch and our unique aquifer system to the rest of the country. So hopefully that they will take this up as we move forward. But again, I want to thank Councillor Templeton and staff for the work that's done. Cheers.
Okay, so I think we've been there and done that, so I'll put that motion. Yes, wrap away.
Thanks for the comments of colleagues. I think one of the things that's super clear from this is that with the number of changes coming our way, I think that and the strong advocacy needed and strong voice for Otatahi Christchurch, that, and I know it's not in there, but that the Mayor needs to present this to the Select Committee and be that strong voice for Christchurch on both this matter and all of the other matters that are coming up that we really need the advocacy on where it's impacting councils. And if you could raise the issue of the number of changes that are coming and the speed of them, that would be great. Thanks.
You're welcome. No worries. Right, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Against? Thank you. Carried. Good. Now, just before we go on to number 11, I'm just going